to this last roundtable, which we have just right now starting. Okay, wait, trying to make it as visual as possible. Okay, so this last roundtable, I entitled it "The Voice of European Youth." I think it's probably the best way possible to wrap up this event we are holding here at the University of Murcia. So to represent the voice of European youth, we have with us Alberta Tagliacozzo, that's sitting there. Then Ludovic Todesco and Carmela Valero, right? So they will introduce themselves and they will tell us about themselves. And then what I've done is that I prepared a survey, a poll, following the suggestion by my colleague Pilar, who's here with us today, on WooClap. So those of you at home and those of you sitting here will also be part of this conversation, this roundtable. We'll be sending out some answers and then we'll see some word clouds. So you will see two types of questions. Some of them are yes/no questions, so you will get a percentage of yeses or nos, right? And then you will also have a word cloud where you can add words, for example, identity tags that you feel identified with. So in case the yes/no question is just one option, either yes or no, and that's it. But for the word clouds, you can add more than one word, right? And you can even react to other people's words. You can just hit like, and then we can see, you will see a representation of the most frequent ones. Well, all of them actually will be shown on the screen. Okay, so I hope that this help us get to know a bit more about the audience that we've had at this course, which I think is a great way to finish, to wrap up. But first of all, of course, we are going to hear the testimonies of these three wonderful people who we thank for being here with us and for telling the stories to us. So we'll begin by just getting to know about them, right? And we'll just ask them a very simple question, which is, what is your name, your country, where do you live, study, or work, right? And then I would also like you to name a place in the European Union which, apart from your country, which you feel particularly connected with and why, right? Okay, so can we start with Alberta, please?
Yes. You can switch.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Nice technology. So, hola, good morning, everyone. I am Alberta, and I was raised and born and raised the other order in Napoli, Naples, Italy. And I have been back to Naples for a PhD after 5 years in Germany, where I studied and did my master's degree in Berlin. So I feel very connected to that city, of course, because of the chance of studying there, and it's part of roaming. And I studied there comparative literature because I come from the German studies, and it was a great experience. And today, well, firstly, sorry, I want to really thank you for listening to this story, and it's beautiful to be here at FOMATPLay. It's been a very moving experience. Also, I'll start this way, or should I tell more about my connection to Berlin?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was studying in German, and I got proficient in German, and so at a certain point I started really to think in the language and to live in the language and meeting people, and this was really beautiful. So in this way, I was feeling connected, well, to Berlin and to some people and groups, specific, maybe also sometimes very international and more multicultural. So at a certain point, I felt a bit like, well, there is a German word for that, Wahlberliner, the Wahlberlinerin. So it's a person who chooses Berlin as his place of, belonging somehow. And I love that word. And I thought also that I could stay there. I started teaching German as a foreign language for beginners, but till the middle intermediate level, actually. I was 1 year in Ireland, also teaching in Limerick. So, of course, Berlin gave me so much, like this background, and also it's connected to my profession, to my research interests. Yeah, it's a very important part of me in this way. Yeah, so I believe I had stayed, and then I applied also for teaching posts and PhD posts in Germany, in Naples, and then I got back to Naples this way. It's a bit like where you find your way through things. Yeah, I would start with that and leave the floor maybe.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
so could we hear Ludovic story?
Sure. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Ludovic. I'm from Perpignan, which is more or less, well, there is the map, so you can find. Okay, I did the first one license degree and then a master's degree to become an English teacher in France. Then I tried my CAPES, the national exam. I failed it, unfortunately. And then in the meantime, I applied for it's not Erasmus, it's another program so that French people and probably other people from different languages and cultures can go abroad and spread their culture. So for me, obviously, I went, I chose Ireland. I chose the Republic of Ireland, and I spent this full school year from September 23 to May 24. And then that was a revealing experience for me. So when I get back to France, to Perpignan, I started a new master degree to become this time a French teacher. No, like what's the, in French I got it, but in English, to become a teacher for French as a foreign language. Yeah, that's it. And to talk about another place, another country I feel connected to. I don't know if connected would be the right term for me, but still, this trip in Ireland was quite amazing. I'm sure it would be the same as someone talking about an Erasmus experience. I felt very welcomed back there by people, and I went there like with a curiosity. So yeah, that was very, very transcending experience for me. So, and one day I might go back there and I don't know, finish my life back there, and that's gonna be, that would be a good thing, I think, for me.
Okay, fantastic. Carmela, I mean, your story.
Okay, hello, good afternoon. I'm Carmela Valero. I'm from here, from Murcia, from Spain, of course. And well, I've lived abroad twice. Once it was in Strasbourg. I did an Erasmus in France, and the other was last year. I've been working in Dublin. So if I had to choose one of them in which I felt more connected, more like a feeling of home, I would go for the Erasmus experience. I'm pretty sure today we are going to go deeper in this kind of experiences, so I'm not going to explain myself a lot now. But it's like it's not the same to get into a culture like when you are studying, when you are in a different university, than when you're working. So pretty much I would go for this Strasbourg one. But also in Dublin, I feel very, very connected to that city. So yeah, I would go for those two.
Okay, great. Right. So we're now moving on to the first block of this roundtable, which is about freedom of movement. We've spoken a lot about that. We've heard amazing testimonies. So now I would like you to reflect upon these two questions, right? The first one is, what does freedom of movement mean to you personally, right? Although you've already hinted at it, right? But just elaborate on that a bit further if you wish. And also, have you taken advantage of it? You've also mentioned it by studying, working, blah, blah, blah. So basically, what that concept of freedom of movement, what does that mean? And is it a high value to you right now at present, right? Okay, so you just take your turn as you wish.
Yeah, I shall start again. We're going in this order. I think freedom of movement is, well, has been taken for granted till now in Europe, and of course being here is making me to realize how it's threatened, and it's totally crucial. It's totally crucial if you study languages, literatures, cultures, if you do humanities, definitely, history, anything, actually. So it was crucial in my life, and it will be crucial in the life of every European citizen, in my opinion. I haven't done any Erasmus exchange. I just took a risk and applied for a German scholarship with a DAAD, and this means I was very privileged because of course, talking about barriers in the freedom movement, which was also a question that we got. There are some big obstacles, and Erasmus is covering maybe like 6 months or a whole year, and then but you have like administrative barriers or social barriers, economic barriers, and if you get a scholarship, of course, you have also a lot of benefits, and you can like really plan this diving into the culture and the studies, and you can enjoy the freedom movement. So this was really great of my experience. In particular, in Germany, I was granted the private health insurance because, of course, there are different systems. And in Italy, you have public health care, and it's financed through taxes. So this means that you just pay the ticket, and it's a reasonable price for each necessity, especially for emergencies. And in Germany, you every citizen contributes to a fund, which is the Krankenkasse. So actually, if you are not German and then you contribute to this public health care fund, then you have to get a private one. And it was also covered, of course. But those are many things that you encounter, that you experience moving abroad, and yeah, as a start. And then there is language barrier. We'll talk also about that.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you. But if I have to say what freedom of movement is, it's like not only having the opportunity, but also that the opportunity it's actually affordable, like that you can actually do it. Because, for instance, if we talk about the Erasmus program, it's kind of a privilege because the help, the economic help they give you, it's not total. It's just very symbolic. So not every person from Spain would be able to live in Strasbourg, in my case, or even less in Luxembourg or things like that. So it's not only to be free or to be able to do that, but also to actually can do it. So that's a very important point. I would go for the freedom of movement.
Yeah, for this question about freedom of movement, if I remember well, my classes in high school, that was a long time ago, it's like the freedom, I've written it in French, so yeah, stop it with me. The free flow, the free circulation of goods and people in a given space. So for us in Erasmus, for us in Europe, so the Schengen space, Schengen, yeah, area, without having to worry about your documentation, some paperwork, some visa, paper, whatever, passport. And but if we just take the word freedom, is just something we have to this is a chance we have to cherish for everything. And where do I go with this? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
It's something we have to cherish.
This is
I think
we
that-
have to cherish, yeah, because we have. I don't want this to become like a political stance or whatever, but we have plenty of other examples all around the world where people don't have this freedom of movement or freedom of whatever. And so we are here talking in Murcia with Italian, Spanish, French, and probably other cultures, and we are here like debating of things we can debate on.
Sure.
And that's
Absolutely. Okay, right. So you've already also mentioned that the barriers that you have come with, and I think we've heard a lot about bureaucratic barriers and all the paperwork and stuff that it seems to be like a common hobby across Europe, right? We seem to be pretty fond of that, right? So what is your experience as regards to these barriers and these obstacles? You already spoke about language barriers, and you would elaborate on that later on. And then, do you think that freedom of movement should be something else than just travel, right? Like, for example, access to healthcare, education, blah, 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 right? Should that also be included as part of the freedom of movement within the European Union?
About something else than just freedom of movement, I can think of two examples. I'm not quite sure about the dates, if it has changed since, but in France, for a very long time, you couldn't get like, what's the word? Euthanasia.
Yeah.
So now I don't know where it goes, where it is, but you had to go to Belgium or to Switzerland or somewhere else to get this process active, or for abortion. In France, you can do that for quite a long time now, but like in Ireland, it was still a debate in 2020 or 2018, something like this, and the women had to go somewhere else to take care of this. So yeah, it's part of the freedom, and the freedom in general, freedom of your own body, what you want to do with this. And so yeah, it includes obviously just more than just traveling and doing some tourism somewhere in the world.
Sure. Okay. So what do you think?
For this, I would like to put an example. This year, when I was living in Dublin, a friend of mine, he's Spanish, but he has the NIE. He doesn't have a DNI, because he's from Morocco.
Yes.
Okay. So, well, he just bought the flights to come to visit us, because, well, he feels he's Spanish. He has lived here for his whole life, but the Republic of Ireland doesn't belong to the Schengen space. So, like a couple of weeks before taking the flight, he was talking with a friend. He asked him, "Have you bought have you applied for the visa?" No, what is? I'm Spanish. I'm going to the Republic of Ireland. He couldn't come. He couldn't come because even it was not a simple visa. It was kind of like a month. Even before he should have applied for the visa before he actually bought the flights. So it was impossible for him to come, despite he's Spanish, to go to the Republic of Ireland, which is part of the European Union. So I believe that there are still some barriers that are in the frontiers,
Yeah.
like they didn't let him go into the country when he's Spanish.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a barrier I wanted to talk, because it happened actually a few months ago. So it was very impressive for me.
Yeah.
I didn't even thought that was a thing happening, and I was so surprised. Like,
Okay. So how about British, for instance? You spoke about language barriers, right?
Yes. But before coming to language barriers, I would like to tell an episode, even also a bit like about another barrier, and administrative paperwork, as you mentioned. Yeah. And indeed, the greatest obstacle that I had, and this had also a huge impact in my life, was the recognition of my German diploma for afterwards. Like after the diploma, I also wanted, and eventually, like possibly, not eventually, I wanted possibly to go back to Italy and also to work in the public sector as a teacher. I've done it in the private sector, and I thought it wouldn't be so difficult. But there is no EU-wide recognition of diplomas, and there are just national procedures, and I encountered so many difficulties. I was talking to university offices, 7, 8, 9, like all university offices in Italy, which had also my curriculum in languages and comparative literature, but it was more comparative literature. And they told me that recognition was not like entirely possible, but just there was an equivalence procedure, and they could recognize just maybe 30, 20, 50 credits out of 120 credits, which is like the amount of a master's degree in Europe, according to the Bologna process, like all European procedures, directive, and this was not possible, so I had to study 1 year further and integrate 15 credit points. And, well, I wrote a new master's thesis, which was very good for my research anyway. I mean, you work with the challenges and the opportunities that you get the same way. Yeah, so this was problematic, I would say. So going back to the question, is it just about traveling, freedom of movement? It's also about clear communication and information about what you can and cannot do then afterwards in the European space.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ludovic, do you have anything to say about this?
About languages or barriers?
Yeah, about barriers in general.
Well, so far I've traveled in countries where I could use English easily, so that did not face any languages barrier. Well, in the very, like rural places in Ireland, sometimes their English is quite difficult to understand. So and they use as well some Gaelic words.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so from time to time I was like, I don't know anything what you're saying to me, sorry. But no, other than that, so far I've not that much experience to various languages.
Okay, right. So now we're going to try to see if the technique doesn't fail, right? Which I'm not sure about, but anyway. Okay, so this is a QR code that you can scan both at home and here, right? So please do so. This will take you to the WooClap site. So you will see, once you access, you will see that it gives a message, something like there's no active poll right now, right? Because I haven't opened it yet. I'm just waiting for everyone to get it. Yeah? Yeah, you got it? Okay. So now I have to go to the so when I hit mostrar, right, which I will do right now, you might be able to see this. Can you see it? Yeah. Can you see the question with the yes, no options? Yes. How about home? Can you see it at home? I guess they might, right? Okay, so you got 30 seconds. So it's over. I can hit it. I don't do anything, right? We're trying it. Yeah, I forgot to mention you got 30 seconds. Right. Should be quick. Yeah, I can hit it again, right? Because probably you were caught unaware. So yeah. Right. Those of you who wanted, please don't do it again, right? If you don't mind. Okay. Okay, sorry. Yeah, technical problems. I knew there would be some. Anyway, so next time we do this, we didn't get many people to answer, but as you can see, right, 12 people out of 13, which is quite a lot, right, feel that they're truly free to move around the European Union, right? So that's quite interesting as well. I know probably you might share your opinion with them about the barriers and opening that stuff, right? Okay, next time I won't hit it until everyone's ready. Sorry about that. Right. Okay, so let's go on. Now we're going to move on to block 2, right? Which is about your identities, right? So let me show you. Okay, so yes. So now we're going to talk about your identities. Okay, so I would like you to think about 3 features that you might feel identified with, right? That would define you as a person. If I had to define myself, for example, say I'm a woman, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, a researcher, a teacher, professor, whatever you may call it, right? So does any of those features that you feel identified with connect with your condition as a European citizen, and has any of those features been benefited from being actually being a European citizen, and in what way, right? Okay, so just think about it, take your time if you need it, right? And then you can tell us. Yes, you ready?
Well,
Okay,
I'm
good.
sure.
Let's see.
So just in 3 words, three
Yeah, 3.
adjectives.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd say I'm French, open-minded, explorer.
Nice. And does any of those connect with your conditions, European? Or has it been influenced by that condition?
Well, French in a way that I was thinking about what Kim said earlier about the way he wanted to, I understood well, hide a bit his original accent
Yeah.
to fit more in the French community. And I would take the counterpart of this, saying that, okay, I was born French, you were born somewhere, something else, you were born something else. Be proud of what you are, and fortunately or not, you will find people that accept your origins. If not, well, try to avoid them. Try not to interact with them because they won't give you anything good for you. So, well, and you won't give them back to something else neither. So, yeah, French. I won't forget I'm French, even if later on I settled, I don't know, in Sweden for the rest of my life, in Ireland or whatever, somewhere else. I'll never forget I'm French initially. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna open to the culture I'm living in. So open-minded in that sense. Yeah, just that's something in general I would say. Whether you're going for work or travel or whatever, always stay curious about the people you're gonna meet. Always stay open-minded. Always stay. Yeah, I would say the word in French, it's the same, open-minded. Yeah.
Okay, great. But how about you?
Can I say 4?
Sure.
I think it's pretty difficult to describe yourself in just 3 words, but I would go for an LGBT Spanish woman, but I would also like to add a fighter.
Mhm.
So I believe like I've always tried to fight for any, let's say, thing that I don't like. And the question, like if these features are related to my condition as an European citizen, of course, because Europe has given me a lot of, maybe not to me directly, but I know that in the history of the European Union, it has helped, for instance, my country to be more open-minded, to live my sexuality in an open way, and also my feeling of being a woman and to be free to be a woman. So I'm very proud of that. But also right now I feel a bit betrayed by the European community for being a bit inactive for many political causes that I would like the European community to act a bit.
That's great. Okay.
Absolutely.
How about you?
It's very nice that you bring this on the table, like being active. Because, well, to describe myself, I would say European, I would say from an Italian family, secular. Also 5 is around, like 4, 5. It's getting longer, it's a long list. Progressive, which is what Europe is about also, and of course, German and English speaking.
Seven.
Please cut me. And this has all to do with Europe and also with the vision that Europe, Europe started as a vision, from like by visionary people and leaders after like the post-war time. And I also have the impression that this vision is dying somehow, or
It's under threat. for sure.
it's on the thread. Yeah, no, dying is, oh my goodness, very negative. So definitely like engaging more with European values, that's something we should really do also on a local level, I think, but I think we'll get to this point. So yeah, so these identities are part of Europe, like multiculturalism and multilingualism, and also transculturalism, because it's not just about having many cultures in place, but having them interacted and like crossing.
Excuse me, can I add something? I know there's a round table, but
No, that's all right.
after listening to you, And after all these sessions that we've had in these couple of days,
Mm.
if I got to add something to this apart from so, I think they can listen to me because I'm
Maybe not.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was saying that after listening to you and bearing in mind all the things that we have been dealing with these couple of days, the first word that came to my mind when I got to choose these features is that I now realize that I'm free to protest, to accept, to be identified, to meet. So this is the first word that came to my mind. So I'm free to be against things, to struggle,
Yeah, that's what
to
Ludovic
accept.
said.
So that's being
Exactly that.
free. So that's a word that came to my mind. So I just wanted to add this.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. So now let's hear those at home. I just put the QR code there again, but if it's open, you already have it, so you don't need to scan it again, right? What I'll do now is not hitting the button until you're ready, because it's 30 seconds, right? Now it's a word cloud, so you have to enter as many words as you wish, defining your identity, and you can also like other people's words, right? Okay, so as soon as I hit it, the counter starts, so there we go. Five seconds left. Yeah, it was too little. Okay, all right, yeah. I think we've got quite a bunch, right? We've got quite a bunch and very interesting. Okay, well, European is like the one that sticks out, like the one that most of you have entered, right? Also Spanish, woman, right? But we also have others that I think are very interesting. For example, professional, free, right? Mention that. Mature, right? Irish, student, lecturer, multicultural. Again, I mean Spanish woman again. So it's like, I mean, I think it's quite graphic, right? And quite clear. Okay, all right, good. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's continue with the following block, right? This one is about exclusionary practices. Okay, so in this case, I will ask the our guests to tell us manage. Yes, okay. Right. So I will ask them to tell us about any exclusionary practices they have experienced. Obviously, these questions might be a little uncomfortable. So if you don't feel comfortable about sharing certain things, you just don't have to, right? But anyway, we would like to know if you've ever felt excluded within the EU and somehow based on your race, your origin, any disabilities or religion, religious beliefs, your language, any reason that you may come up with, or have seen or have witnessed any type of discrimination. Right. And yeah, I think we've already spoken about borders, but maybe we're specifically speaking about this attitudinal borders or yeah. So have you ever experienced it or witnessed it, right? In any way, and why did that happen? So let's start. Yeah, Alberta.
I will start. Exclusion, if I have felt excluded, of course, I'm very privileged also because I'm white and have particular like special needs, disabilities, and so on. So, but I have an episode that I can tell because language was actually a barrier, not just by the like in administration situations, but also like studying materially. Sorry, of course,
We got it.
of course. Studying when I was interacting with my and comparing myself with my fellow students who were German, so with German professors and so on. But I had one episode which really it still strikes me. I was at a summer school and we were reading a monologue of Goethe from the Faust. And we were going to comment some lines. And I read it, and my pronunciation is also pretty good because I totally agree with what Kim said. You really have to sneak into the culture, and so working on your accent, on the language, and so on. So I read the piece, and then I was a bit slow in commenting the piece, or like I needed more time to reflect and to elaborate on the piece. And I was told, oh, you have read it beautifully. You sound like a nice parrot. I'll ask your fellow student to elaborate better on this, or maybe to help us understand better the piece. That was an interesting way of welcoming, yeah. And I was I think there were like 3 or 4 people who had like a multilingual background or were not native Germans, or maybe there were more, but they didn't present them like this, or they didn't appear. So yeah, this was really an episode about the language barrier. Yeah.
Okay, so how about you too? Camila, English?
I have to say that I feel like I'm a bit privileged on this question. I haven't really felt the, maybe exclusion is a very
Strong word.
strong word. Yeah, of course, during my time in France, it's nothing very strange what I'm going to say. French people are a bit difficult with the accents. And it was a bit like, actually, no, really, I titled myself this word Konin. It's a book by Vladimir Nabokov. And I remember going to it's actually about a Russian teacher that goes to America and experiences a lot of struggle with the communication in English while being Russian. And I remember going to the bookshop to buy the book, and the conversation was something like, vous avez le book, le livre Penin? Le quoi? Penin? Le quoi? Like 4 minutes. At some point, I said in French, because I wanted to practice my French. I was in France. Do you know the author of the book, Vladimir Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov? Ah, Penin. Okay. Like, actually, it's impossible that they didn't understand me, but if they don't really make the effort to understand you, you would never feel like they are actually including you, but the opposite, they are excluding you. So yeah, sorry about that, but but that actually happened.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. We don't do that. I cannot speak for every French people, obviously. I wouldn't do that. I would make the effort to, okay, she's talking about this book. I know what it is. I won't make you struggle with anything. But yeah, I heard some people saying the same thing. Like when you go for la boulangerie, I would like a croissant. Sorry, what? Un croissant. If
Yeah.
you don't say it properly, well, the guy in just face, well, yeah, he won't miss you. But other than that, don't feel legitimate to answer this question about exclusion, because, well, quite privileged, I would say. I never faced any, well, yeah, critiques based on my race, origin, or whatever. And if I did face some, they didn't strike me, or I just say, okay, I don't like my French accent, whatever. Yeah. So
Right, good. So, so speaking about what you said about the French, for example, so what type of stereotypes or national narratives do you think can make it harder for some groups to integrate, to feel that they belong in a specific culture, right? And what could be done, right, to reduce exclusion, or to like, yeah, to spread the word, or to spread the values that might facilitate the inclusion of foreigners and migrants, etc., within a specific culture in the EU. For instance, Ludovic, if you wish.
yeah, about some narratives, some negative stuff we can hear about some culture, some people. This year, I had some Erasmus student. I was teaching them some French, some basic French, and we talked about stereotypes, of course, and we shared like in a good way, without really criticizing everything, but like people coming from the Eastern Europe, Polish or Czech Republic and all, they are categorized like people who drink a lot, or Irish people as well. French people, well, they tend to be romantic, but they smell bad and they are very rude. Well, for some of them, that's true, but not all of them again. So, and the thing is to maybe try to avoid these easy critics, maybe try to, like in middle schools or even in primary schools, try to talk a bit about this. Okay, there are stereotypes. Stereotypes are here because of some way of thinking that comes way back in time. But now you have to consider, well, I mean, to establish yeah, an open-mindedness to these young people, so that when they grow up, they don't keep those false images, they false yeah.
Yes, how about you, Camila? What do you think?
Well, I think I've already said, but probably by embracing the difference, like not judging others for not speaking your language properly. What does it mean properly? Like language is an amazing tool to communicate between people. Like if not, we would be like talking with the hands. So it doesn't matter if you doesn't pronounce perfectly or if you doesn't know all the vocabulary in the world. Like as long as you are able to communicate and send your message and people can understand that, that would be, well, an easy way to stop with this kind of in language barriers in this case. But with any other kind of barrier or stereotype, well, it's just not. I've lived in Ireland and people are not that alcoholic as it might look like. So it's just forgetting about those things and just take the opportunity to know them or something like that. So yeah.
Yes, freedom of movement is key, precisely to avoid stereotypes and prejudices. Absolutely. Alberta, do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, about the Irish stereotype, maybe the fact that it's starting about 5. This, but it's, I mean, it depends on the cultures, when you eat, when you drink, when you stop working. So anyway, yes.
How do you think we could remedy that? Those ideas, that preconceived ideas we have about other cultures and countries.
Yeah, definitely sharing more stories, stories also of, well, exclusion, inclusion, and learning the stories of other people. So communicating with other people. This can reduce definitely exclusion, because if you don't know others and if you have maybe a very abstract idea of belonging or of what your home should be. I mean, for example, in the German cultural tradition, there is this this concept of Heimat, which is the place you belong, which is the place that is your home, and it's of course also it's connected to your national identity, your cultural identity, the language you're born into, and there are also counter narratives in literature. I'm getting very excited about this because I'm studying it. About societies which are actually shaped by migration, and you don't need this like obsession, obsessive distinguishing between a migrant and a not migrant, like a native and a not native. Who cares?
So do you have a perception that within the European Union and European citizens are perceived in a more positive way, but then when it comes to different cultures and countries outside the European Union, then things are different. Like you don't witness much hate against an Italian or a German person.
No.
But then someone from South America, someone from Morocco, someone from other countries, then things are different, right? At least here, in my opinion, I feel that that cultural gap plays a very relevant role, right? So,
Yes, and you are perceived maybe in Asia, let's say, or Africa, or in the US as a European. So
yeah, sure. It's the other way around, yeah, sure. Okay, right. So let's get to know what our audience thinks about this. Again, QR code works exactly the same. So this time I've got two questions, right? The first one is, have you ever felt excluded? And the second one is why you felt excluded. Okay, you or someone you know, something that you witnessed. What was the reason, right? The first one is a yes/no question. The second one is a word cloud, right? There's 30 seconds for both. So there we go. Okay, right. So we got 13 answers, if I'm not mistaken. It's like half and half. In this case, yes, 6 said yes, 46%, 7 said no, right? So now let's see, let's just guess why that exclusion happened, what the reason was, right? So this time you have to enter one word, more than one word if you wish, right? 30 seconds, same as before, right? So there we go. Okay, right. Well, we also got quite a bunch here, right? And we got many different reasons. I think we might all agree with this. Reasons like gender, for example, age or language, right? You mentioned that. Maybe age, we didn't speak about age, right? Like being too young or maybe too old, right? And then feeling that attitude, right? Against you. Then disability as well, the accent, right? Which is linguistic barriers, as we said before. Also geographical origin, nationality, same, language probably, right? It's related to that. Gender, there's again race, right? So you can see we have quite a bunch, not a nice one by the way. But in any case, I think this is pretty graphic, so tells us a lot. All right, good. So now we're just moving on to the last bit, right? Which is a wrap up. Sorry. Yes. Okay. So to wrap up, we'll just look ahead, right? I think this is a very good way to finish and to close this seminar by thinking positive, right? Since we've been speaking about the threats that the European Union might be under, right? And we'll be speaking about discrimination and the reasons why that may happen. But so how should the European Union change? Right? What do you think? What changes should be made so that the European Union moves forward? Right, particularly as regards freedom of movement, broadly speaking, not only physically moving, but also we've already spoken about that. So, what do you think that should be done? How could we change things, right, from now on? Particularly thinking about the specific situation we are in. Okay, so.
Well, if I have to complete the sentence, I would say it's like the change I'd like to see in the EU, regarding freedom of movement. It's like local integration from host communities. Like we imagine people coming to Spain, we are the hosters. We need to give them integration, like. The freedom of movement is not only, as I said before, having the possibility to live in another place, but also to make these people to feel like they belong to the place. The sense of belonging is what makes you feel like you are home. So local integration, I would say, in terms of language, I don't know, culture, whatever, to help the immigrants people to be able to integrate into the local culture. If not, it's impossible. Like also it happens, I believe, with the creation of I don't know how to call it, maybe ghettos or something like, yeah, they don't feel integrated into their community, so at the end they end up making their own community from abroad, you know, like they live in a particular space, they have their own particular culture,
Yeah,
entertainment,
yes,
and whatever like that. Yes, like so something like that.
Absolutely, I can agree. And also talking more about good practices, stories, narratives, also teaching tools about European history, European values, also for language teaching. Like talking about Europe also when you teach languages and yeah, literatures. Yeah, definitely. And about the like the dissemination at the local level, it's more. This means, I don't know, maybe acting like a church or a religious community, like really involving people in activities and
Yes, civil movements, yeah. That's
Yeah.
what she's kind of looking for you. Yeah, exactly. Ludovic, I don't know.
I don't know, in terms of freedom of movement, I'd say let us all be conscious of the possibilities we have, and to move around, to meet people as much as can be. And in terms of, I don't know, what the EU, what the government or associations could make to improve this sense of acceptance for everybody is maybe, you know, like when I was in Dublin, there I went a few times to a language exchange. So back there, you could meet with people from South America, from Russia, from other countries in Europe, and so okay, it was small talk, but still you could discover a bit of the background story of everybody, and that's, I think that's a good first step to improve our worldwide relationships, and to get to know people a bit, and just not to stay on cliches and stereotypes. I think I'd like to think that life is just a game, and so Europe and the world is our playground, I would say. So to try to meet with other players like you, and at the end of the day, at the end of your when you're 90 or so, don't just say okay, well, my game is over and I didn't enjoy it that much. That's personally, that's one of my most that's my my first fear, actually, just finish it, and so well, that was both.
Okay, good, thank you very much. Okay, so just to finish, I would like to create a word cloud to finish that sentence, right? So here's the question. So it's one change I'd like to see in EU regarding freedom of movement or belonging is, and you can answer more than one, so in the end we'll have a really nice picture of what everyone thinks, both at home and here, right? So there we go.
So stressing. Just
I know.
Not for a boomer. It's just
Okay, all right. So I think this is a very nice picture to wrap up this seminar, as I said before. So we have things like, for example, being treated equally, right? I think that's fundamental. Empathy, for sure, equality, inclusiveness. Also the UK coming back, right? That's a good one. Rejoining, security, unity, citizenship, understanding, I mean, I think this is quite a very nice picture.
Can I say, I try to say understanding of others.
Of others, okay, I was thinking
You know, others.
yeah, okay, understanding of others, that was the nice one too, but that's yours. Okay, so yeah, I think this is a very nice way to just kind of lay a path ahead for the European Union. Just to look ahead and think positively, right? And so thank you so much, right? I think that your testimonies are really, really valuable. So we thank you for being here as well, those at home. So over to Pascual, if you want to say something, we're right on time.
Thank you, guys. I mean, if anyone wants to share something or say, there's so much really talked about here. No, I just want to thank you guys. This is something that Veronique said in the previous roundtable when she, in 1987. Okay, so you have no idea what the world was back in 1987. It was very different. So she got to Dundee with the first Erasmus, and she said something. Yeah, and this is when I understood what life is about. So that really struck me. Like, yeah, moving around, also have this freedom to, as Pilar said, to think, speak, and do stuff in different places with different people. So yeah, and I think that the lesson today is that we can lose it if we let others manipulate these courses and feed anger and all sorts of hate into our systems, education, mass media, and stuff. And that's
Yeah.
no, thank you so much. It's been lovely. Thank you so much.